You've been staring at this screen for 30 seconds. The balance reads $847. You have $847 sitting in your checking account right now, and $847 is exactly what you owe on the last debt. The last one. The one you've been dragging behind you for 3 years like a chain attached to your ankle. Your finger is hovering over the button. You've run the math 6 times this week. You know what happens after you press it. The account drains to near zero. You start over from scratch. No cushion, no buffer, just your next paycheck and the first clean balance sheet you've had since you were a teenager. And you press it. Payment confirmed. Balance, $0. You sit back, and for a moment, just a moment, you don't feel the relief you expected. You feel something quieter than that, something that takes a second to name. You feel clear. Today, we're going to live inside that moment. And then we're going to talk about what the day after it looks like, and the decade after it, because the day you pay off your final debt at 30 is not the finish line. It is the starting gun, the weight you've been carrying. Let's go back before we go forward, because to understand what this day actually means, you have to understand what the years leading up to it actually cost. Not just in money, in life. Debt at its worst is not a number on a screen. It is a low-grade psychological presence that never fully leaves the room. It's there when you check your bank account on a Sunday evening. It's there when something good happens, a raise, a bonus, a windfall, and instead of feeling the full height of that moment, you immediately start doing the debt math. It's there in the decisions you didn't make, the risk you didn't take, the job you couldn't leave because you couldn't afford a gap in income. For most people who carry bank debt into their late 20s, credit cards, personal loans, overdraft lines, whatever the vehicle, the debt isn't just a financial condition. It is a behavioral constraint. It limits your options in ways that are concrete and measurable. You couldn't negotiate harder for that salary because you couldn't afford to walk away. You couldn't start that side project because you couldn't afford to invest in it. You couldn't build your emergency fund properly because a portion of every paycheck was already spoken for before it arrived. And the interest. Let's not skip past the interest. The average credit card interest rate in 2026 is somewhere between 20% and 28%. A $5,000 credit card balance at 22% costs you over $1,100 in interest per year, just for the privilege of owing it. $1,100 a year in pure cost, generating zero return, building zero equity, moving you 0 steps forward. The debt wasn't just expensive, it was renting your future from you, monthly. Today, the day the balance hits 0, you stop paying that rent, and everything changes. The day itself. Let me walk you through the rest of this day, because the moment of payment is one thing. The hours after it are something else entirely. You close the laptop. You notice something unusual. You're not anxious about your finances right now. That background hum, the one you've been so accustomed to that you stopped noticing it was there, is gone. The mental tab that was always open, always running calculations, always holding the debt number somewhere in the back of your mind, it's closed. You go for a walk. It's a Tuesday afternoon. Nothing special about it externally. The same neighborhood, the same street. But something is different in the way you're moving through it, because something is different in the way you're carrying yourself. You call your mom, or your best friend, or both. You tell them. Most of the people in your life won't fully understand why this is significant, because most people don't talk about their debt honestly, so most people don't have a reference point for what paying it off actually represents. But you tell them anyway, because this matters, and you have earned the right to say it out loud. You eat dinner that evening, and you think about a number. Not $847, a different number. The number that represents what you were paying toward debt every month. The minimum payments, the extra payments, the amounts you scraped together during the aggressive paydown phase. Let's say that total was $450 a month. Credit card minimums, a personal loan payment, the overdraft fee you finally eliminated. $450 a month that was leaving your account and going directly to institutions that were profiting from your past decisions. That $450 is yours now, completely, unconditionally, no invoice, no due date, no interest accruing overnight, yours. And what you do with it next is the most important financial decision you will make in your 30s. The morning after, what the math looks like now. You wake up the next morning with a zero balance on your debts and a question that demands an answer. Where does the $450 go? This is the fork in the road, and I want to be direct with you about it because this fork is where the people who paid off their debt and transformed their financial life separate from the people who paid off their debt and quietly slipped back to zero. The wrong answer, the one that feels natural, that feels earned, is to finally let yourself breathe, to loosen the grip, to let some of that $450 flow into lifestyle upgrades you've been deferring. A nicer apartment, a newer car, the restaurants you said no to for 2 years. You deserve it, right? You worked hard, you sacrificed, and here's the truth, you do deserve it. Some of it, a calculated, deliberate, budgeted version of it. What you cannot afford, financially, strategically, mathematically, is to let all $450 evaporate into lifestyle inflation. Because that $450 is not a reward. That $450 is a weapon. And the next decade of your financial life depends on what you aim it at. Here is the math that should be living rent-free in your head the morning after debt freedom. $450 a month invested at 8% average annual return over 30 years from age 30 to age 60 becomes $679,000. Say that slowly, $679,000 from $450 a month that you were already spending, just redirected from debt repayment to wealth building. This is the compounding unlock that debt freedom creates. The money was always leaving your account. You were already living without it. The habit of not having it was already built. The only change is where it goes, from the bank's pocket to yours. That is the morning after. That is the real payoff, not the zero balance, the $679,000 that the zero balance makes possible. The sequence, what to do with freedom in the right order. Now, let's be precise, because invest the $450 is a direction, not a plan. Here's the actual sequence of moves in order, starting the day after debt freedom. Step 1. Rebuild your emergency fund to full strength. If you drained your savings buffer to make the final payment, which is sometimes the right call when the interest rate on the debt exceeds what savings earns, you now have a vulnerability. Before any investment moves, rebuild 3 to 6 months of living expenses in a high-yield savings account. Not in stocks, not in crypto, liquid, accessible, boring, safe. This is not optional. This is the foundation. Without it, the first unexpected expense sends you back to debt. And going back to debt after paying it all off is one of the most demoralizing and financially costly things that can happen to someone who worked this hard to get free. Step 2. Capture every dollar of employer match in your 401k. If your employer matches retirement contributions and you haven't been maximizing that match, start immediately. An employer match is a 50% to 100% instant return on your contribution. There is no investment on earth that competes with it. Capture it all, starting with your next paycheck. Step 3. Max your Roth IRA. You are 30 years old. Every dollar you put into a Roth IRA right now has 30 to 35 years to compound completely tax-free. The contribution limit in 2026 is $7,000. That's $583 a month. Depending on your income and the size of your freed-up cash flow, this may be reachable immediately or something you work toward over the next year. Either way, it becomes the priority. Step 4. Let the lifestyle rise slowly and deliberately. Yes, intentionally. A 10% to 15% lifestyle upgrade from the debt paydown phase is reasonable, sustainable, and good for your psychology. Go to the restaurant. Take the trip you deferred. Upgrade the one thing that genuinely improves your daily life. Do it with intention, with a budget, and with the discipline to not let the 10% become 30% over the next 18 months. Reward the behavior. Just don't let the reward consume the engine. Let me close with something that I think gets lost in every pay off your debt conversation. The day you clear your final balance is not the day you become financially successful. It is the day you become financially available for the first time, possibly since you were a teenager, to build something that is entirely yours. No creditor with a claim on your income. No interest accruing while you sleep. No institutional hand in your pocket every month before you can reach it yourself. That availability, that cleared runway, is the most valuable thing you own on this day. More valuable than any investment account. More valuable than any salary increase. Because every financial move from this point forward lands differently when there's no debt eating the margin. The savings rate you couldn't sustain before? Sustainable now. The investment contributions you kept pushing back? Front of the line now. The career risk you couldn't take because you needed every paycheck? Calculable now. You are 30 years old. You have cleared the board. You are starting the real game, the one where you actually build, where the decisions compound forward instead of backward, where the math works for you instead of against you. That is what today is. And 30 years from now, when you're sitting on an investment portfolio that grew from the $450 a month you redirected the morning after, you will trace it back to this exact moment. The screen, the balance, the button. Payment confirmed. If this video hits something real for you, if you're in the middle of the paydown right now, grinding toward your own zero balance, drop a comment. Tell me where you are. Tell me how close you are. I want to hear it. Hit the like button if this gave you fuel. Share it with someone who's fighting their way out of debt right now and needs to see what's on the other side. Subscribe, because every week on this channel we cover the moments, the math, and the decisions that actually shape where you end up. Keep going. The zero is closer than it feels. I'll see you in the next one.